So if we don't mind, let me jump. We're not going to, like I said, we're not going to devote any time to interview skills today, but I would like to pose a question. So my question is, what is the main objective of the interview? So I'm going to give four things. We're not going to respond to them, but here are the four possible answers maybe. To learn more about the position to see if it matches your qualifications and career goals. B, to get to know potential coworkers and administrators. C, to get the job. D, to get the job offer. Now, when I pose this question to my students, I say, you got to pick the one that is the main objective. Well, they almost always go C, to get the job. And I look at them and I say, I disagree. I said, it's to get the job offer. Because if you get the job offer, whether or not you think it's a match, whether or not you've got to know your potential coworkers, the ball is now in your court. And that means that you're now in a position where you might be able to ask questions or explore things in more detail that you might not want to discuss before that. So when you're prepping for the interview, be certain, as Dr. Payne said, be certain those on your reference list are aware of it, and consider if those references can speak to your work from direct observation. Because I know that when I get somebody calling me and I'm someone's reference, they wanted to know, what is this person like in front of kids? How do they handle this situation? So again, that direct observation is important. And again, as Dr. Payne said, do your homework. Learn about the school, their traditions, their mascot. Don't go into contest results or things like that unless they're favorable. You don't want to go in and say, so what's the plan for improving the ratings next year? That would be a huge mistake. But do learn something about the school and the program. Anticipate questions. They're going to ask you, okay, tell us about yourself. They're going to ask you perhaps some things about instrumental pedagogy. So, Eric, I have no problem at all if you want to share my email address with your listeners. If they'd like to contact me, I'll be happy to share with them some of these materials, some sample questions, that type of thing. And then you compile a list of your own questions. And those questions fall into two categories: before the job offer and then after the job offer. And absolutely conduct mock interviews. Learning to interview well is a skill just like anything else. And if you do happen to find yourself where you've had the interview, then after the interview is over, you want to follow up with separate emails to the appropriate individuals. Personalize them, but be concise, be literate, express gratitude, and express enthusiasm and anticipation for the next steps. Don't give them any deadlines. It's certainly okay to ask before you leave the interview when they expect to make a decision or what the next steps are. But the purpose of the follow-up email is not to go into further depth. It's simply to establish, to maintain that connection and stay on their radar screen. And do not offer additional qualifications when you are in the follow-up email. This is a courtesy. It's meant to, again, like I said, keep them on your mind. So there we have it.
And I would, the one part that I would underscore is going in with your own set of questions, because, one of the things that I share with our students here at K-State is that, yes, they are interviewing you to see if you're a good fit. You're also interviewing them in some ways to see if you're a good fit within the community. And so it's not, and I don't mean that from an interrogation standpoint. You're not going to ask them a whole, but you do want to ask questions about, okay, their philosophies of education, the way, and you wouldn't, not specifically to that, but you're going to ask things like, tell me a little bit about, and then have them expand, because you can see their ideas of how the music program works within their district based on answers. If you to expand about, tell us a little bit about your program. Tell us about some of your goals. Where do you see where do you want the program to be in 5 years? How is it, and if you can ask those questions and have a series, because the reality is you're going to be nervous. And when you walk in, your body is going to reset to zero, and all of a sudden your mind's going to go blank. So have those questions ready. Be prepped to be able to ask a few. And and you don't want to ask yes or no questions, say, tell me about, frame these questions in ways to get a conversation started. And you're going to learn so much about the process. Uh, One thing that is always kind of a tricky topic to cover, and it's one that's important in a interview process, is tell me a little bit about how the budget is constructed for the music program. You want to know, is there going to be a set amount of money that you're going to have access to each year? You're going to want, or is it going to be just come and ask for us and we're going to let you have whatever you need? Well, all of a sudden, that's two totally different ends of the spectrum. And you want to know that going in because it's going to help you make that decision. So one of the things I always do is I always have our students, come up with a set of questions and then ask those to us, and then practice asking those questions, and then be able to give feedback on that and say, well, I wouldn't ask it this way because you might put up a red flag. I understand what you're going for here, but what if you were to retailor that question or reframe it and try and go this route? Would that get the same information? And then that way you can practice that process of asking those questions. So I just wanted to underscore that.
Yeah.